Hello and welcome to the Magical Witchy World TV. I am Star Ravenhawk.
And I am Rhonda Allen. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you all here tonight. And now on with the show.
On with the show. Our special guest tonight is
Ellen. All right. Tonight we are proud to welcome Ellen EVERT HOPMAN to the Magical Witchy World TV. Thank you for
Yay!
being here with us tonight. Yay!
Happy
Welcome,
solstice.
welcome.
Happy solstice.
Happy solstice. And thank you for making the time to be with us tonight. I know this is a very busy time of year for everyone. So
Yes.
thank you for
Yeah.
making the time.
Yeah.
So, as we like to do, as we begin the show, we like to go through our guest's bio so everyone learns some background on you before we begin our Q&A. So, let me go ahead and read your bio. Ellen Everett Hopman is an herbalist, author, and druid who lives in an oak forest in western Massachusetts. Her volumes are far-ranging, including Celtic Herbals, a trilogy of druid novels, and children's literature. Her most recent herbal offering is The Sacred Herbs of Yule and Christmas: Remedies, Recipes, Magic, and Brews for the Winter Season. And her next publication will be Celtic Druidry: Rituals, Techniques, and Magical Practices, releasing in May 2024. All her books can be found at www.elleneveretthopman.com, and they can also be ordered online in the usual places. She is the Archdruid Emerita and founder of Tribe of the Oak, Tuanadara, a Celtic Reconstructionist Druid order. So, Ellen, thank you again so
Yes.
much for joining us. We will be scrolling the URLs, the places where people can find you, tribeoftheoak.org, and of course, elleneveretthopman.com. We'll be
Yeah.
scrolling that throughout our discussion tonight. But welcome again to the show.
Yeah. So glad to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. No problem. We love having you. Okay, so let's kind of begin with our Q&A with one of our questions that we ask everyone when they come in, because we kind of want to get, because everyone's different. Everybody practices different things, call themselves different things. And we also go through an arc of different things that we call ourselves throughout the years. So that arc that you took, where you began in terms of what you called yourself and everything, or how you referred to yourself, and then where you ended up now with how you're referring to yourself. If you can give us a little bit of that, that would be great.
Okay, are we talking about starting when I was a teenager, or are we talking about starting when I was a pagan?
Um,
What are we talking about?
when it kind of started for you as to what you called yourself, like when I first thought of whatever it was, I was just a witch, and looking to see where else I went, and as time went by and age went by, you change with what you call yourself or refer to yourself, and where I am now.
Mhm.
So kind of like that.
Okay, I've been a druid for 40 years, so that's kind of boring. But
Yeah.
no, as a teenager, around age 13, I did not have a teacher. I didn't know anything, but for some reason, I decided that I needed to learn how to meditate.
Mm.
And my parents didn't teach me. There was nobody. I found a book. It was called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones by Paul Reps. And I also
Mm.
read The Three Pillars of Zen, and I taught myself how
Ah,
to meditate so, without
Yep.
a teacher. So I was doing that. And then when I got to college, I started doing transcendental meditation, got initiated in that. I was doing Kundalini yoga also, and Tai Chi.
Wow.
Um, did that for a while. Then I had a boyfriend who had met a Sufi master.
ah.
Huh.
So I followed the boyfriend to Philadelphia and
Wow.
studied for 8 years with a Sufi master. But it was a very traditional Islamic approach. I was still in my early 20s, right?
Hmm.
Mid 20s. And the traditional Islamic approach says that everything is forbidden, the whole world is forbidden,
Wow.
it's all haram, and
Hmm.
only God is halal, right? So
Wow. Okay.
so taught that the earth was Maya, it was illusion. So I did that for 8 years, but I felt like I was starving. Like
Mm.
there was a part of me that, what do you mean the earth is forbidden? Yikes,
Right.
And so I had an arranged marriage, which was terrible. Anyway, so then I got out of there.
Mhm.
And because I was so starving for the earth, I immediately found Native American elders. And for 5 years, I studied only with Native Americans.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, I'm with people who are saying, wait a minute, the earth is sacred, the water is sacred, the fire is sacred,
Yeah.
the trees are sacred, the stones are sacred, the stars are sacred, the sun is sacred. And I'm like, whoa, and
Yeah.
so it really fed me. But then after 5 years of that, one of them said to me, it's really wonderful that you're honoring our ancestors and our ways, but you need to honor your own.
Right.
And I had no clue. I didn't know what that meant because I thought of my parents who were divorced by then, my grandparents who came from two cultures that were at war with each other, and then I thought,
Mhm.
those people, like, wait a minute, Then I realized I was born in Austria,
Mhm.
which
Hmm.
is a Celtic country, was
Mhm. Mhm.
Hallstatt area. Um, I started thinking about that. And then I was working full time as an herbalist. And one of my clients came to me and just mentioned that she had met a druid. And it was Isaac Bonowitz.
Oh my
Ah,
goodness.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had never heard the word druid,
Ah.
and somehow, how some people hear the word witch and they go, yeah, it's like they
yeah.
Yeah.
resonate.
Yeah.
When I heard the word druid, that's what happened. I was like, I knew. And so this was long before the internet. This is in the very early 80s by now.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I had to find druids, and it took me a while to find druids, a few years. And then 1983, I was in Scotland for an entire summer.
Oh.
And I was on the island of Iona, which is in the west coast of Scotland. And I've since written a novel about this. But um, there they were telling stories about druids, that it was a holy island of the druids. And I did write a novel eventually. Uh, so you can look that. I have a trilogy of
Yes.
novels. You can look that up. But it's called the Druid Isle because
Okay.
that was the original name, in Isnan Druidniach. And then it
Ah.
later became Iona. But anyway, so now I finally found ADF, and I found Isaac, and
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
I was actually one of the first members of ADF. I think
Wow.
I was like number 30 or something like that.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and
Um,
and and I'm sorry, ADF standing for.
Andrioch Fine, which
Okay.
is our own Druidism.
Yeah.
But what I really liked about it, what really appealed to me, was that it was they were interested in scholarship and depth of learning. It wasn't this, oh, I love trees, I'm a druid. It was it
Yes.
was a
Yes.
scholarly approach, and
Excellent.
um, a lot of respect for the language, respect for the history, for the archaeology, the linguistics, and all that.
Beautiful.
But there was a flaw. There was a fly in the ointment, which
Mm.
was that they also were extremely Indo-European, and they would say, you can be a Polish druid, you can be a Russian druid, um, you know, you could be a Norse druid. And I thought,
Right.
wait a minute,
Right.
wait, druid is a
Right.
Celtic term, and
Right.
I was a Cayley dancer, a traditional
Mm.
Irish dance, and I loved
Mhm.
Irish music. So I knew that druids were a facet of Celtic culture, that you couldn't be a Norse druid. But
Right.
so eventually I hived off with a group of people, and we created the Hench of Keltria, which was, I'm giving you the long story you
No,
asked.
that's perfect. That
But,
you're kind of
Hench-
blending two of the things that we need to ask you anyway. So this is
okay.
fabulous.
Well, I wanted a Celtic druidism. I didn't want, you know, Russian, Polish, Scandinavian druidism, So we
Right.
created the Henge of Keltria, and I was there. I was eventually not, I was vice president there for 9 years, so I think I was there for about 10 years.
Mm.
But even they still had a lot of elements of Wicca and so on. So eventually I called together the best Druid minds that I knew at the time, which is about 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a group called, well, first it was an email list, Order of White Oak. And we spent an entire year on Yahoo, which I found Yahoo much friendlier to intellectual pursuits than
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. Now everybody's on
Oh,
Facebook.
yes.
Back
Agree. Yeah.
back in those days, we had a Yahoo group,
Yes.
and for an entire year, all we did was discuss what a druid is, what a druid isn't, what are the best books, what are the basic tools of a druid, what should they wear, what should they know, what are the ethics. We talked for a whole year. And then at the end of the year, we said, wait a minute, we've been talking about this for a year. We have the basis for an order, for a druid order, because we have all the tools and the beliefs and the books and everything. So then we created the Order of White Oak. And that went from 1997. We started talking in 96. So it went from 1997 to
Wow.
2014. And then in
Wow.
2014, it kind of imploded the way these
Yeah.
things do. And I
Yes.
initiated, I think, 18 or 19 people. We have a whole
Wow.
training program. But when White Oak collapsed, I didn't want the training program to die. So I
Yeah.
created Tribe of the Oak. And I'm very happy to say that I've now recently handed it over to a new Archdruid, which is why I'm now Archdruid Emerita. Uh,
Yes.
Okay.
but,
Yes.
but
So that's what you basically call yourself now,
Well,
Archdruid.
that's what they called me.
Oh, okay.
The
Yes.
new
Because now,
Archdruid put that. That wasn't my idea,
Oh,
but
okay. All
but I
right.
was
I
very,
think that
very,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
no, that
yeah.
and that goes back to a conversation we've had with a few people here in the last several months, and that's the notion of elders in the community. And I'm saying elders in air quotes, meaning, but you have history. You have history with the tribe of folk. I'm going to use that language,
Mhm.
and so and to not lose that. So yes, Archdruid Emerita is the appropriate thing because we don't want to lose that. You need to have access to that, to you as a resource, I would think.
Well, I'm still there to train people, but we
There you
require
go.
people to do quite a bit of reading before they can even begin the training, because we want them to have a really
Fabulous.
good, solid background. So people take years, but I'm
That's
there, and
perfect.
yeah, I'm still there. And she's the new Archdruid is Melangel Green, and she's
Mm,
still there. And we both can train people if anybody's interested. So
Okay.
beautiful.
Sounds good.
No,
Sounds
that's
good.
fabulous. I know you gave us, as you said, you're giving us somewhat of the long story in, and I
Yeah. Yeah.
appreciate that story.
Yeah.
But
Because that
having
answered a
said
few
that,
questions there. Yeah.
when you think back to when you think back to when you first started as a teen going into meditation, I'm just going to go back on that point just really quickly. Was there anything in particular that gave you that feeling, that sense of this is something you needed to do?
yeah, I
Was it
mean, I
can
absolutely.
what
I just
do you know what it was? Was it just a feeling that you had, or was it an experience that you had, something you saw, a conversation? What was the impetus? What was it that flipped the switch, you say?
I was 13 years old. I mean, it's hard to remember, but I people have asked me that before, and I've tried to think about it. I mean,
Mm,
in those days, I mean, if you think, I don't know how old you are, but
I'm
back then we were
61.
going. Pardon?
I'm 61.
Okay, well, we were going through the Vietnam War,
Yes.
and I think in a lot of ways we were desperate for something. We were so ashamed and horrified by what the country was doing, that we wanted to find a different way. And
Mm,
I don't know
mhm.
where I picked it up. I mean, I was also, of course, listening to a lot of music, the Beatles and everything else.
Yes.
It's possible that I picked it up from there. Um,
That's a good that's
you know,
mhm. That
because
makes sense.
George Harrison, they were all hanging out with Maharishi. And
Exactly. Exactly.
but even
Absolutely.
as a little kid, though, I have to say, I remember one of my earliest memories is about age 4. I had a red tricycle, and I remember going up and down the street singing songs to God. And I
Wow.
and I was singing, and I was all by myself. Again, nobody was telling me to do this. It just came from me. And I would sing, and I would say, if you're there, reveal yourself, show me, give me a sign. And I was this little
Beautiful.
kid on a red tricycle, and that's what I was doing. So maybe it's a past life thing. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Excellent. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So you've kind of segued into so many parts of it that's awesome that we heard all of that from you.
Mhm.
So I'm going to kind of ask you, what do you think has, or rather, from your point of view, what do you think a druid should be like? If you can give us a short version of that, if it's possible, or as more, you know what I mean. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Condensed
Well,
version. The elevator speech version.
oh boy.
No, I know. It's
Okay.
typical.
What I think is not necessarily what somebody else
So
thinks.
that's why we said not anybody else's point of
Yeah.
view, but
What
yours.
I think,
Yes.
okay, to me, a druid is an expert. So in regular English language, you can see the word druid sometimes, like the druid of ecology or something like that. So that's
Mhm.
what a druid is to me. So if you're going to
Mm,
call yourself a druid, you better be an expert at something. And the druids
mm.
picked, and this is one of the things we do at Tribe of the Oak. When you're all done training, you then vow to follow a traditional path. So you choose a craft or a pursuit, and you vow to master it and teach it to others.
Wow.
So a druid might be a historian, or they might be an herbalist, or they might be a magician, or they might be a sacred singer, or they might be a poet, or they might be a lawyer, because the lawyers, the judges, the ambassadors, they were all druids. And
Mm,
and then the other thing is, you hear people say, oh, we don't know anything about druids, it's all made up. Like, but
right.
we actually know a lot. There's whole books. There's the Brehon laws, which are the traditional laws, the tribal laws. And then there's the laws of the poets. So we know what the training program was for the poets. There's the bee laws, which is fascinating. The bees were so important. The honey, the wax was the equivalent of glue,
Mm,
and
yeah.
so there's a whole law book just on bee laws.
Okay.
Mm,
But anyway, so you could be a bard, so you could be a musician and a storyteller, you know. But you pick one of those and you master it, and then
that's fabulous.
you teach others.
Yeah.
That's what a real druid is to me. It's not somebody who says, I had an Irish grandmother, therefore I'm a druid, or I
Yeah.
love trees, therefore I'm a druid. That, to me, that doesn't resonate. I have to try really hard to keep my mouth shut.
Okay. All
Well, we
right.
appreciate it. No, that's why Star is asking in your view. No, that's fabulous. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
how do you incorporate your practice into your everyday life? You're a druid. How is that a part of your just your everyday life?
Well, I'm lucky enough that I live in the woods.
Yeah.
Um, I told Isaac when I first met Isaac, I said, I'm a druid and I live in the woods. And he said, you do not. He thought I was making it up. It's like, no, I live in an oak forest. As a matter of fact, I'm a
That's
druid and I live in an oak forest, which is very
that's
convenient.
beautiful.
So every day I'm outside. All I have to do is step outside the door and I'm in church. That's the way I feel.
That's
Okay.
beautiful.
That's awesome. That is
So
beautiful.
Beautiful.
basically, that's it.
Okay. So from again, what do you think is important to you right now? Or rather for you to do, or maybe to accomplish? What's important to you?
At this moment, because I just did a beautiful solstice ritual on Wednesday night where we turned out all the lights, and then we went deep inside and um, in the dark, to look into our heart, into the cave of the heart, to see what was going on there. And I didn't realize how upset I was about what's happening in the world. I mean, I knew I was upset.
Yeah.
We're all upset, right? But I realized I was carrying this real burden in my heart, you know. So I had to exhale it and
Hmm.
give it to the fire, you know. So you can do that with a candle, you can do it with a fireplace if you're lucky enough to have that. But even just one little candle, you can give it to the fire. And I had to do that, and it just, I mean, I knew intellectually that we're all suffering,
Yeah.
everybody's suffering, but I really felt it, and we really are suffering. I mean, this is not a pleasant time to be alive. I mean, we just went through COVID. That was bad enough. That was really bad. But
Yeah.
there's things happening in the world right now where people are carrying a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to be aware of that when I talk to people, when I look at people, when I look them in the eye. Um, be
Yeah.
compassionate,
Right, right.
you know.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
huge.
That's
That is
excellent.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, that goes to our next question. Excuse me. And that is about work within the community. What type of
Mhm.
work, or what is happening for you? What is your relationship right now with the community, whether it's the community you practice with, or just the
Mhm.
community at large?
Well, for the last few weeks, tomorrow I have my fourth solstice ritual.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been incredibly busy. Um, Plus, with the new book out, which I have to mention it,
Yes.
the Sacred Rhythm
Yes.
of Yule and Christmas.
So
I've
timely. So timely.
been doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews. But I think what's happening as far as the community is I'm spending more time with people locally. Um,
Excellent.
I made a conscious decision. You know, during COVID, we all felt very isolated.
Yes.
And, you know, we tried to reach out. I mean, my group, Tribe of the Oak, we had rituals online. We did
Hmm.
that deliberately so that everybody could participate. But you know, one of the things we really missed was that human contact. So I've been focusing a lot on circling with live human beings
Yeah.
and doing live ritual with live humans. You know, that's been a
That
very conscious focus.
Hmm.
that's excellent. Building
Uh,
those connections again. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, you got to try to do that again. All
Yes.
right. So, that's a good segue into like, what would you like to see your community as Druids accomplish?
oh boy,
That's a big
I
one.
wish
It's
we
your
could.
wish list. It's your wish list. So it's
Yeah,
like,
well, I wish we could influence the world situation, you know. I mean, the Druids were politicians, and a lot of people say, "Oh no, you can't mix politics and religion, and you shouldn't," and all that. But the ancient Druids were the advisors to the kings and queens and the rulers, and they were the ambassadors, and they made the treaties, and they were very politically active, which is one reason why the Romans tried to kill the Druids. Luckily, the Romans never got to Ireland and they never got to the north of Scotland. So Druidism continued until the 1700s. And especially in Ireland, the Brehon laws were still being used beyond the Pale. The Pale was the English controlled English law area. Beyond the Pale was still the tribal law. So it never really died out. And then the romantic druid revival started up again in the 1700s. So one way or another, even though there's no unbroken lineage, one way or another it has continued. So I feel like druidism and politics do mix, and that's appropriate.
Excellent.
So
Fabulous.
I urge anyone who is a druid uh, to contact their legislators to make their will known, and to work for peace, because that's what the world needs right now.
hmm.
Yes. Well
One thing
said.
I actually in with my research with a lot, I did a lot of research on Druidism, and one of the things I liked is was they were very neutral people. They didn't pick sides or anything like that. They tried to always remain very neutral, so they can be fair. in when what the decisions were made?
Well, that's one idea. But we know that they also worked battle magic on behalf of the king. So
Mm.
if they were doing
Some
that,
of them were swayed into
yeah.
different things. They being, I guess, being human of the time, and we're seeing that happen right now politically. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that could be.
Okay. So,
Tell us
okay.
about the projects that you have. What projects do you have coming? I know you have your upcoming release, so you have a book coming out May of next year,
Mhm.
2024, which is right around the corner here. Any other projects or things that you have or that you're thinking about?
Well, I'm going to be in Orlando, Florida for Summerfest in
Oh,
June.
mm-hmm.
Um, I know there's other things coming up, but if you go, my website is elleneverethopman.com, and I have a calendar there, so
Oh,
things get listed
that's
there.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, right now, I mean, I've been the book, The Sacred Herbs of Yule and Christmas. Does this
Mm-hmm.
look? Do the words look backwards to you? Or
Yeah, they
Yes,
do.
they
It's
do,
okay
but
though. You can
they
say the name. You
well,
can
it
say
has
the
a great cover. Anyway, I've been working very hard at promoting that for the last few months. So I haven't had too much time to think about anything else. And then I'll get a month or two respite, and then the promotion for the next one will start.
yes,
Um, and then I have to dream in another one
yes. So
because that's what I do.
you'll be back
yeah.
to those projects. That's
Yeah,
fabulous.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah. Awesome.
congratulations on
That's
all of that
awesome.
work.
Yeah, yeah.
And thank
And
you
I
for
know
sharing it.
sorry. And I know you mentioned Summerfest, you said in June, right?
Yeah, in
And yeah,
Orlando,
any other
Florida.
events you can think of, or you still have to, but that's fine. We can just have them go to Ellen Evert Hopman.
Well, I know I'm doing WitchCon
Hmm.
in
Yeah, yeah.
February, I
That one I
think.
think we're all kind of doing, right?
Yeah, is
Yeah.
that in February? I think that's in
Yeah,
February.
that's in February. Is it?
Um,
Okay. I
yeah,
think so.
I don't know. Let's see. I have some notes here. Uh, I
Well,
don't know.
like you
I
said,
can't.
and we are scrolling your website.
Yes.
So
So they
there's the
will find you
calendar.
there. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Well,
do
that
look
is
out for Ellen in many different places.
absolutely. And we will continue sharing and your URL just for, for Ellen Everett Hopman and also the Tribe of the Oak as well.
Thank you.
Tribeoftheoak.org. Thank
Right.
you so much for
For
joining us
being, yes,
tonight,
yes.
for
Thank you
taking
so
the
much.
time. I
Yeah.
am really looking forward to, and I have to be honest, I raised my hand to this. I don't have your book on the Sacred Herbs of Yule and Christmas. It is on my wish list already. I can say that, but I don't have it in my hands yet. But I will get it in my hands. That's my other passion is working with the
Oh
green
yeah.
world with herbs and whatnot. So thank you
Mm.
so much.
Thank you.
Peace. Peace out.
Peace and out. Thank you again. And as we get
Okay.
ready to go on to the next part of our show tonight, we just want to share our upcoming event this
Thank you again,
summer.
Ellen. I know I tend to dance behind the scenes as the music is playing.
Yay! Exactly. But
That
now
was so
it is
nice and so wonderful
astrology
to have all that.
time.
Awesome, awesome. All
That
righty.
was so
So
cool.
again, we want to thank Ellen for being with us tonight. And we will be sharing her information constantly throughout the show. All righty. So it's astrology time. So what we decided to do this month of December is to share with you the 2023 December horoscope, which is going to be covering anything about this time and see what we have going on all the way to the year end. So it's divided into two parts. One part for tonight, and the next show you will have the last part of December. So
Yes.
for tonight, coasting through the holidays will take some extra cosmic support thanks to Mercury retrograde and a few other planetary antics. But the December horoscope has all the cosmic details to help you navigate it. Firstly, I want you to go down slowly down that sleigh. The first half of December took off with a roaring start as both the sun and the energizer Mars raced through supersizer Sagittarius. Everything seemed to be moving at warp speed, which left many people feeling, oh boy, dysregulated as 2023 gets ready to recede into the rear view. Here's what
Mhm.
so far has happened and what's presently happening in the stars for the month of December. Let's begin with December 1st, when Mercury entered industrious Capricorn and will stay there until December 23rd. And on December 2nd, the Sun entered into Sagittarius Decan 2, which seemed to be about hidden knowledge and the importance of using it with integrity. It also showed how much it's becoming more and more vital for us to keep in contact and connected with nature and to respect the natural law of the land. And we don't mean people's law of the land, but the actual earth law of the land. Okay? Because if not, we will suffer grave consequences. Nature will take a very dim view of elites abusing their power. Also, on December 2nd to the 4th, the Antares Stargate portal opened. For those who don't know, Antares is known as one of the four royal stars. And during December 2nd to the 4th, the sun did conjunct with Antares and activated its energy, sending it beaming into our hearts, as Antares is also known as the heart of the scorpion. So it had some feeling, it had some people feeling compassionate and supportive towards themselves and loved ones. To some, anyone who passed around that time, it is said that as their souls departed their bodies on the way to the afterlife under the energies of Antares, that they can weigh up their regrets, their triumphs, and their memories. And under the star, at that time, the star portal, they were able to reflect on the course of their lives.
That's an important piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So on December 3rd, so we're going back in time a little bit. On December 3rd, Venus squared Pluto at 28 degrees Capricorn, which caused crimes of greed and jealousy
We saw
to
that.
be exposed. Yeah. Many relationships had people lashing out at each other, which encouraged a deep dive into the dungeons of one's soul. So it was a challenging period. It was an intense and daredevil combination, which made some fascinated by the forbidden and the taboo. That type of volcanic energy can be terrifying, but also strangely irresistible. The higher vibration was able to transmute the dangerous aspects and made many bravely face their worst nightmares, which allowed many long term phobias caused by psychological trauma to be healed. On December 4th, Venus moved out of its ruling under zodiac Libra, under the sign Libra, and entered into deep transformational Scorpio, making many quick to fall in love or intense surges of emotions for those who we cared about. Many felt compelled to open up their hearts and fell in love despite its many challenges. On December 5th, Venus moved into Scorpio Decan 1. And though Venus in Scorpio generally has massive amounts of charm, we still had to take heed on the bite of the dark Cupid until December 13th. So while Venus was still in Scorpio, Decan 1, Venus certainly showed her bittersweet side in her Lucifer mode. It was where It was where we saw the most potent manifestation of Scorpio's famous jealousy and its tendency for revenge, as there were a lot of exposes of there were a lot of sex crime uh, and crimes of passion. Those things were exposed, many based on jealousy. On December 6th, Neptune went direct in Pisces, being bringing with it answers, and those are being brought into focus as it tuned into Neptune. as tuned in Neptune ended a long retrograde in its home turf of compassionate, dreamy Pisces. During that period of soul searching, many of you became enlightened with realizations about yourselves, your desires, and your relationships, as it encouraged you to start putting those divine downloads into action. In other words, it said, don't stop daydreaming, but it allowed Neptune, the master at manifestation, to do what it does best, manifest. On December 7th, Neptune went direct at 24 degrees Pisces, and the misty clouds lifted somewhat. On December 9th and 10th, Venus in Scorpio went opposite Jupiter in Taurus, making a bridge of abundance and romance, creating a fantastic combination of energies. Some of those touched by these transits um, spoiled diva attitudes. It caused envy and resentment. Oh man. So there were lots of things happening. That was early in the month, but here we
Right,
are.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And on December 12th, there was the year's only new moon in visionary Sagittarius at 20 degrees on the snake charmed fixed star Ras Al Hag, which made quite a treacherous labyrinth to navigate, causing many to have feelings that their way feeling their way through the dark. Apologies.
Mhm.
Also, it unlocked the sacred number code 1212, the 12th day of the 12th month. And 1212 represents moving to a higher state of consciousness. 12 is also a number of completion and ending. We have 12 months in the year and 12 signs in the zodiac. And when we have moved through all 12, we begin to form a clearer picture of the whole about the whole. And
Mhm.
under the energy of 1212, many things came to a completion. Answers got clarified, and things that had been lost were found. The auspicious 1212 of the Sagittarius new moon pushed us to make a bold entry into uncharted terrain, or to go big and think outside the box. Some even took the risk and booked a trip from their bucket list of destinations. The sun also went into Sagittarius Decan 3, which I believe to be one of the most difficult decans to be born under in this early 21st century. Like all new energies, this energy can be a troublemaker and
Mm.
often be misunderstood. Some may have also felt exiled and tortured for their beliefs. Now, if Sagittarius Decan 3s had access to nature, an active spiritual life, and freedom to express their unique selves, then they would be as good as gold. But if not, their dark side would have been most treacherous of all. They need to be as authentic to themselves as possible. Mercury, the planet of communication, was also stationed retrograde on that day, amplifying its effects. Mercury, being the messenger of the gods during its retrograde cycle, moved messages more quickly and easily, bringing messages to us, and will continue to do so until New Year's Day.
Pay attention to those messages coming in then.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now, on December 16th, the sun moved into a square alignment with Neptune, which allowed us to trust our instincts and to trust our instincts more and not believe everything you see, thought, or heard. So we started trusting more in our instincts and not just believing everything we see, thought, or heard. On December 21st, yesterday, December 21st, Venus went opposite Uranus at 19 degrees Scorpio Taurus, which triggered many out of the blue long distance relationships. It was a day when weird synchronicities brought love unexpectedly. It even struck up new friendships with eccentrics and unusual souls who you don't usually see mixing together. The sun officially moved into Capricorn Decan 1, the holiday decan, which is also a very important time of the year as the sun crosses the winter solstice point at 0 degrees Capricorn. So this is a transition point and gives us the darkest, longest night of the year and shortest day in the northern hemisphere. It was also a winter solstice celebration of the light returning, bringing us into Capricorn season. In the Northern Hemisphere, we celebrate a return to the light, whereas in the Southern Hemisphere, they celebrated the light's peak, reminding us that no matter where in the world you live, to use the solstice to honor the light that radiates within us. The inner light is the unique energy that you bring to this world, advising you to get to know your inner light, cultivate it, nurture it, and let it shine for the world to see. The energy of the solstice can be quite energizing and healing. It is said that the energy grid moves into higher harmony under the solstice. So spend some time in nature and soak up those powerful vibrations. All right, Venus in Scorpio also aligned opposite Uranus in Taurus. This bridge of energy will make love feel eclectic and out of the box. This is some fabulous creative energy that we can use for innovation and to drive our entrepreneurial projects. If you are winding down for the year, this combination of energy can be powerful in helping us to problem solve, think bigger, and allow our authentic selves to shine. So tonight, on December 22nd, the Sun conjuncts with Mercury retrograde, bringing new insights and wisdom into our world. This is also known as Mercury Kazemi. This is a power day in the Mercury retrograde cycle. It is at this time that we begin understanding or unlocking what messages Mercury has for us. We may receive some clarity at this time or some progress to whatever has been held up or lost in translation. Being in Capricorn Decan 1, it looks both backward towards Saturn and forward towards Jupiter, just like the Roman god Janus, which January is named after. Janus rules gates, doorways, time, and endings. And it's that
Yeah,
the
that is
two
beautiful.
faces. Yeah,
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
backwards and forwards.
yeah. And on December 23rd, tomorrow, Mercury will begin its retrograde in Capricorn, but begins to now backtrack into Sagittarius Decan 1, where it will remain for the rest of the retrograde. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius helps to bring some fiery energy to our thought processes, which may feel welcomed if we have been dragging our feet or confused about what choices we need to make. The path may not be crystal clear, but we may feel closer to having the answers. Being in Sagittarius Decan 1, look out for political activists and sexual scandals
Hmm.
that can occur mainly because tricky Mercury, under the influence of some very dark scorpionic stars, can become degenerate. Taboo subjects matter and ugly crimes will come up. This decan also contains much of the constellation Ophiuchus. The so called 13th sign can never fit into traditional astrology, but the mythology of the exiled one makes sense in this decan. Mercury is the ruler of this decan, so it is very strong here. It will work well for, guess what? We were talking about it earlier, politics, propaganda, disinformation, and misinformation. So many politicians will do very well under this influence as it allows them to spin their tales as if with truths. So be aware and beware. With chaos and misinformation, and sorry, with chaos and miscommunication rippling through the rest of 2023, leave absolutely nothing up to chance in general and with your holiday plans. While Mercury's backing up through Capricorn until December 23rd, maybe set up an online hub with addresses, timelines, and dishes and drinks everyone would bring to the celebrations. Okay, and plan on sending about 5 follow-up texts just to keep everything in line. If you're jetting off to ring in the occasion, I want you to double check your luggage to make sure you've got the essentials, not to mention an extra phone charger, just to be on the safe side. Delays will be likely, especially when Mercury backs into travel sign Sagittarius on the 23rd. Speaking of, choose your fellow partygoers carefully. One decisive debater can ruin everything. And with Mercury in outspoken global Sag, you're not wrong for already dreading holiday dinner table conversations. it will take some strong boundaries set in place, and maybe a really good seating chart if you can. You don't want polarizing politics to fragment your family. Just saying.
Mhm.
On December 24th, the sun will be sextile Saturn at 2 degrees Capricorn Pisces and will form a supportive wall for you to lean on while you are working hard, leaving you feeling protected and shielded from the elements. The best qualities of this aspect are its great timekeeping and scheduling abilities. Everything will run smoothly and on time, which is good for those traveling home for Christmas despite minor hiccups. The moon will swiftly fall in talkative Gemini. At its best, Gemini can spark productive dialogue. At its worst, people will be playing devil's advocate and having endless appetites for debate, which would not look forward to that. But anyway, December 25th will be a romantic Christmas day with Venus trined Neptune at 24 degrees Scorpio Pisces. It will uplift the imaginative power of these two planets into something sublime and ethereal. Love will blossom under that aspect, giving it a feeling of a spiritual experience and giving it the power to heal trauma from past abusive relationships, which will follow through all the way to the end of the year 2023.
Mhm.
That's great things to look up to, right?
That's
Although
right.
I'm not that romantic person, but there we go.
Lots of things.
Right. So now we're
So,
moving to tarot time.
tarot time. First,
Yay.
a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Okay.
gonna do sponsors. We'll do it
I know I
later.
was waiting for the commercial part.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was all
Well,
queued
we
up,
can
but I
do it
had the
after
wrong
if
cue.
you've got it. We can do it after
We
the
will.
tarot
We
if
will.
you've got it. Okay.
That's it.
So
Yes.
I want you guys to, we're going to do the rest of the year at on Friday and on 29th. Um, and we're going to do, from the 26th to the 29th, sorry, to the 30th. And then in January, we're going to do that beautiful horoscope for the entire year for you guys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, that's what we're doing. And I want you guys to pull one tarot card as to what you think will be in store for you this December up to the 25th. I don't want you to go past that. Think of what you would like to see what's in store for you up till the 25th. Okay? So shuffle that deck and pull that card and let's see what we've got.
Up to the 25th. Ta-da!
All right, what have you got?
I got the party card. I'm not I'm not hating on it. I'm not much I don't, if I have a glass of wine or 2, that's like as far as I go right now. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's a party card. Basically what that's telling me is it's just time to enjoy. And I've been working hard I've been working hard this month. So yes, I will gladly take time to celebrate. I have the 3 of cups for those I did not mention. It's the 3 of cups.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
So
what did you pull? What is your card up
okay,
through
I
the
got
25th?
the Eight of Pentacles.
Ooh.
Look at me, but look at me. I am like concentrating on that money. And even the crow or the raven, I think it's the crow that's just right there looking at me like, really?
Yeah, yep. Working
Because
it,
I'm
making it
stacking
happen.
them up. I'm stacking them up and I'm looking at the one I've got in my hand and I'm shining it.
That is too funny.
I'm stacking it.
There you go.
I'm
And here
like, the
I am.
new year is going to be my power year.
That's
To
right. That's
line things
right.
up because I am moving. I am going to be on that land and I'm going to be so welcoming all of that. I am so going to make that happen in the new year.
Yes. Right on.
And so I'm
Manifested.
lining up my monies. I'm going to make sure it's all there and ready for me to go. I'm going to stack up all the things that I need to do. It's going to be slightly difficult with the
It's
Eight of
okay.
Pentacles. So some of it's going to be fighting its way, but I'm going to line it all up and make it work.
Make it so. Make it happen.
Okay.
Make it so.
It'll all be
I'll be.
happening. But if
I'll
it's
be.
by hook or by a crook, and it was so funny, as you said, I worked hard for that. I'm like, all I can think about
Yes.
was she worked hard for the
For the
money,
money.
so
Exactly.
hard for the money. That's all
Right
I can
on.
think about.
These are great. I love it. I love it.
All right.
I love
Okay.
it.
So this is
So
great.
I love that. I am so excited and ready for not just the manifestation of what you see in that Eight of Pentacles and the
Yeah.
expertise and all of that, but I'm looking forward to just the, blessing and
Yeah. Yup.
releasing. There
Yup.
we
Yup.
go. Bless
Yup.
and release. All right. Now a word from our sponsors.
All right. So,
Hey.
and
Oh,
our sponsors that we had, some of them have had some holiday things going on and all the different things, but they will definitely be back either next week or in January. All right. Okay.
yes.
So, Rhonda, who do we have on Friday, December 29th?
Who do we have on Friday? We have Patty Negri coming up Friday, December
Yay! I can't wait to
29th.
have her here. She is the
Excited to have
Hollywood
her.
witch. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Stoked,
Can't
so
wait to
excited
have
to
her
have
join us.
her. Yes.
Yes.
And in the meantime, though, we absolutely want to say thank you yet again to
To
Ellen for
Ellen
joining
Everett
us,
Hopman.
Hopman,
Yay!
for joining us tonight. That was
Yes.
fabulous. I am excited to get my hands on that book. I can't wait for it to come in. And she's got plenty, plenty.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have a stack of books that I'm staring at right now that are on my that I still have to finish reading, but I'm excited. So thank you, Ellen, for joining us again tonight.
And
And
we would like you to
what did I
please like, subscribe, share, and what else? Did I forget anything? Like,
No,
subscribe,
that's
share.
it. And
Okay. Yes.
share.
On
That is
YouTube
it.
and Facebook, and please join us in the chat. Please send us ideas of people that you'd like to hear us interview.
Yes, please.
And we want to thank you all. And also, oh no, it's not till next week. Never mind. See you all next week, December 29th, right before the new year. Thank you and have a
Yes.
wonderful week.
Have a wonderful week. And for those celebrating, whether it was Yule or coming up into
For
Christmas or
Christmas, it's
Kwanzaa, whatever else you're celebrating,
enjoy. Right, that's
happy
right, right?
holidays. Yes.
Yes, I
Happy,
forgot. Let's
happy.
say it all, not just happy holidays or
Yes.
whatever people celebrate, Blessed Yule, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, anything else you
Yes.
can think of?
Well, Saturnalia ends tonight, so
Yes.
we're wrapping
Yes,
that up too. So
Saturnalia. There's a
we're dealing
lot,
with
right? So whatever
yes,
the
a lot
names are, all the many blessings of all of the
of the
holidays.
holidays, all of them. We'll see you next Friday.
Yes. Take care.